Hey everybody, this is Mark Hill. I just wanted to touch base with everybody. Hope all is well. Wanted to talk a little bit about what's been in the financial headlines lately. I'm not really big into all the negativity or doom and gloom that's in the news or on a day-to-day basis, but I do pay attention to current events and I pay attention to facts. And one of the facts that's being reported lately is the pending retirement crisis that Americans are facing in the near future and facing in today's current times. I believe it's not just a future retirement crisis. I mean, you can see it happening now where people don't have the option to retire. People in their 60s and 70s that have to work, or people who are retired but Social Security and savings and meager pensions just aren't enough to live a life of comfort and dignity in their elder years. I mean, in the richest country in the world, in one of the best economies of all time, people should not be struggling financially the way they are. And this can be avoidable if people wake up and focus on their money and set financial goals. People can retire comfortably in the richest country in the world. There's many things you can do to avoid being in a crisis situation financially when it's time to retire. I mean, the richest country in the world, you got the average retirement age is in the 60s and 70s. You can, if you really take advantage of all the economic opportunities in America, you can retire in your 40s, in your 50s. And if you're extra ambitious, even in your mid to late 30s, you can retire. That's how abundant the economy is. The global economy now with the internet, we're all connected in some way economically. So some of the most important things to avoid is trying to show off, being frivolous with your money, buying things you don't really need in order to get a temporary high, ultra consumerism. And I understand it's a hard thing to resist with the billion-dollar companies spending billions on advertising and marketing, make you think you need a newer car, to make you think you need newer clothes, the fanciest watch, a bigger house. This is the main thing, I believe, why most people aren't able to retire comfortably. And there's nothing wrong, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with working. There's nothing wrong with having a job if you enjoy that job, you enjoy the company, but you don't want that to be your only source of income. You don't want to have to work at a certain place or doing a certain thing. You want it to be an option. You want to have choices in life. Options and choices. So even if you like your job, even if you like the people you work with, even if you like your particular industry or occupation, you still need to focus on financial security, building financial peace of mind outside of depending on that one paycheck. That's why I always preach the stock market. A lot of people are scared of the stock market. I'm not just talking about investing in a 401k or mutual fund. When I talk stock market, I'm talking about buying ownership in some of the greatest companies in the world. Dividend aristocrat companies that will give you passive income, not just stock appreciation, but also checks that you could live on instantly, that you can use for spending money. And these blue chip dividend paying companies give you income. The more shares you own, the bigger your checks will become. But most people don't get into that. And I'm trying to make that bring more awareness of dividend income to the masses. That could be a source of income that can help you gain financial freedom. Becoming an owner. And I know everyone is not necessarily geared towards owning your own business. It is a lot of work, sacrifice. But even if you don't want to put in the work or risk in operating your own business or starting your own restaurant, for example, you can invest in someone else's successful business. See, there's no way around not being an owner. You have to own either your own business or someone else's business, a piece of someone else's business. Own a piece of a restaurant like a McDonald's, for example. Not saying that you would need to buy that stock, but just an example. Own a piece of the companies, a piece of the companies that sell products that you are familiar with. You like to drink Coca, Pepsi? Why not own a piece of Coca, Pepsi stock, and they'll send you a check. This country is centered around ownership. That's where the tax advantages are, and that's where all the other economic advantages are in ownership. I don't care how good of a job you have, how good you think your company is. Just depending on one source of income from a job is not secure. Look at what happened with the recently AT&T bought out Time Warner. The first day that deal was sealed, AT&T came in there and they cut a lot of high management, a lot of jobs in upper management. A lot of good upper management, high-paying jobs were slashed and cut out. I'm sure they weren't expecting that, but you never know when things like that. I'm sure people loved working for Time Warner, but when corporate mergers happen or downsizing in a recession, you just never know what can happen with one source of income from a job. No matter how good that job is, have backup sources of income, such as dividend paying stocks, or even some people like real estate, physical real estate. If that's your thing for trying to get passive income, rental properties, whatever. Side business on the internet geared towards your passion. You love to cook? Why not start a cooking website? Why not start making cooking videos that you can monetize? I mean, the sky's the limit. Think multiple sources of income. Multiple sources of income is how you become prosperous, how you become free, how you create intergenerational wealth. Don't work 20, 30, 40 years for a company and just hope to depend on a pension and Social Security. I mean, with the cost of living continuously rising higher and higher, that's good if you can get your pension and Social Security, but that won't be enough. It won't be enough to live an abundant life that you deserve. Social Security and pensions, that should just be icing on the cake, a little extra money, but not the core of all you depend on for your sustenance. Think royalties, side business income, dividend income, rental income, etc., etc. Think 1099, not just W-2. Think 1099 income, not just W-2 wage income. So what's the first step? The first step is to start saving more. In order to invest, you need money to invest. Now, we're in one of the best economies ever. The economy is booming. Even if the economy was in a recession, 90% of people out here still have jobs, still making money, even in a recession in America. But right now, it's a booming economy. Most of you listening to this work. You're making money. Cut back on the frivolous spending. Start off, they say only the average American has less than $1,000 in the bank account. I know the cost of living of everything is going up, especially in the coastal states, especially in the bigger cities. But you gotta find a way to cut out certain things you don't need that are usually purchased in order to impress other people. Do you really need that huge SUV? Why not get a small economical car for around $10,000, 2 or 3 years old? Do you really need that $40,000 or $50,000 SUV? There's nothing wrong with having nice things, but get that later. That's after the financial freedom. That's after you got multiple sources of income. Most people only have one source of income. Can't afford to be blowing that on garbage. What do they say? Most people buy luxury goods or things they don't need to impress people who they don't even know. Most of the people you see at the stoplight in your fancy car, they don't know you and they don't care about you. And the friends, so-called friends you're trying to impress, they're not your real friends if you need material goods to prove to them that you're successful. It's all about self-esteem. Look at the richest people in the world. I'm not talking about people, celebrities worth a few millions, a couple million, or 20, 30 million. I'm talking about the billionaires. They don't wear or drive or show off all of these frivolous material goods. They don't. And I've had the pleasure of meeting 2 or 3 billionaires personally. And you look at them, you meet them, they're not flashy, they're not arrogant, they're humble. And if I didn't know who that person was, you would have thought they were just the average Joe that you would see anywhere at a grocery store. They don't wear anything or show anything or say anything to brag. The only way you'll know that they're billionaires is because you are a fan of that industry that they're in. You know that person. You know the kind of lifestyle they live. That's the new rich. What is your lifestyle like? Anybody with a credit card making $35,000 a year can get a fancy watch, fancy car, and rent an apartment in a fancy neighborhood. And even with a credit, they can get a somewhat bigger than average house. That's nothing anymore. Materialism is out of style, is outdated in terms of showing your wealth. It's all about your lifestyle and freedom. That's the new rich. The new rich is lifestyle and freedom. Are you able to take a trip for 2 weeks to Tahiti or Fiji or Asia or the Caribbean and stay not just for 2 weeks like the average worker be? How about, can you stay for 6 months, stay the whole winter in a tropical island? Do you have the freedom and money to do that? That's the new rich. That's the new wealth, your freedom. If your kids, can you send your kids to the best schools, the best universities, to be around other smart kids? And they may not even graduate. They may do like Bill Gates and Zuckerberg, go to an Ivy League school, hook up with some other smart kids, and create a billion-dollar company, because when smart minds connect, intelligent things happen. But that's connections. That's wealth. That's how they're able to meet each other in the first place. But I can go on and on about that. That's a whole nother subject. But I just wanted to briefly talk about how you can take your retirement, your financial freedom into your own hands by, number one, not following the crowd. Don't waste your money on things trying to impress other people. You have to sacrifice a little bit. You have to do what you have to do in the beginning in order to get what you want in the end. Okay? This is Mark Hill, author of The Secret to Prosperity. I want to help you. I want to help millions of people achieve financial freedom, financial independence. The world is yours. No one can stop you but you. Start off saving 10%, 20%, 30%, and then eventually that savings habit will kick in. You'll be saving 40, 50% of your income before you know it. Then you'll have a lot of money to invest, to make it grow. Those are the first 2 steps. Save and invest and monetize your passions. Monetize your passions. There's been no better opportunity than today with technology to monetize your passions. I don't care if you like comic books, video games. There's people out here making $500,000 a month giving comic book reviews, playing video games on the internet out here. So there's no exact blueprint, cookie cutter answer for everyone how to get rich, because everyone is different when it comes to monetizing your passions, because everyone has different passions. But it's possible with technology. Save, invest, own other great companies, and monetize your passions. This is Mark Hill. Till next time, God bless. Get rich. Stay healthy. Stay wealthy. Love thy neighbor. Live abundantly.